now.
All right, NASDAQ did it again, hitting a record. This average, along with the S&P 500, which for a while was in a record territory today, is remarkable when you consider the comeback that these markets have made since the lows of March. A better than 50% comeback that also has the Dow, even though down on the year, now a little more than 5% away from all-time highs there. Unthinkable. Now, as to what it means for the election and whether it could have any impact, Charlie Gasparino, he looks at a lot of these kind of numbers, and I guess the key is, Charlie, when those numbers are being registered, right?
Yeah, and when the Biden tax plan, I just heard John Podesta talking about how there's no middle class taxes. There are a lot of middle class taxes in the Biden tax plan. Just certain deductions that can't, like the standard deduction, which is not a lot of middle class families are not going to be able to use that. If you look at his plan, it's going to hit middle class families. It's going to hit small businesses, and obviously it's going to hit corporate America in a major way because there's taxes across the board. That at some point, if you believe that Joe Biden is way ahead, he's got this thing locked up, that at some point should be factoring into the market analysis, it's particularly the S&P. And it's not, at least not yet. So what I've basically been hearing, and I've been talking to a lot of traders on this.
It's not. Could it ever be, Charlie, the markets maybe, all right, worst case scenario, Biden wins, worst case for them. I'm talking money, guys.
I got you.
If he doesn't take the Senate with him, and its Federal Reserve is doing what it's doing, you certainly wouldn't be able to hike taxes in this environment. So maybe they're seeing that and the limitations of it.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear here. None of this is, I don't want to give any absolutes here. This is sentiment. This is what people are talking about. And the S&P is a pretty good indicator. If it's higher, if it's up to 3 months before the election, the incumbent generally wins like 85% of the time since the 1920s. But what you really have here is the market saying, I think, Neil, is what you hit on the head, that Trump is not guaranteed a loss. He can make it close. He might win. The Republicans might keep the Senate. That would thwart all the crazy stuff economically, at least for the market feels, is going to come out of the Democratic convention tonight. And let's face it, the Democratic convention tonight, it's virtual. It's going to be featuring Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, Elizabeth Warren. All those people are like, if you're an investor, you really have to watch your pocketbook because they have a bullseye out for you. And, it's very fascinating, Neil. I've been talking with people, Democratic supporters of Biden and Harris, and others who are basically saying they're putting out the word that Biden and Harris are really moderates. All these lefties are up there just because, it's for show. Right. They didn't show up in 2016. They didn't help Hillary enough, so we want them there. That's why we're giving them a chance. But we're really going to be moderate when they govern. I will say this. Look at the Democratic Party platform. It is heavily influenced by Ocasio-Cortez, by Sanders, by Warren. And the plans that Joe Biden and Harris are putting forth economically are very, very, they're to the left of Barack Obama. And yes, there are middle-class tax increases in there. Right. Maybe not purely on rates, but in deductions and other things. It could be pretty scary.
Well, and Republicans are pouncing on that. Also using the example, look how the A&T started. It was supposed to ensnare just a few millionaires like you who were trying to avoid taxes, and it spread to half the residents of this country. Thank you, my friend. Always good seeing you. All right, here's the thing about an Arizona school district. Everything was all dotted and crossed for the kids to return to school, and the teachers had a sick out. It was a widespread sick out. Guess what? School canceled. After this.
Your house brought you together. Like, really together. And although together is great, together with more space is better. With Rocket Mortgage, you get personalized loan options, closing costs, and tax estimates all in real time. So when you need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family, Rocket can. Rocket.
At Safelite, we're committed to taking care of you and your car.
We'll fix it right with no contact service you can trust.
So if you have auto glass damage, stay safe with Safe Light.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
This is Joe. He used to have bad breath. Now he uses a capful of TheraBreath Fresh Breath Oral Rinse to keep his breath smelling great all day long. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash at Walmart, Target, and other fine stores.
Hello? Weight loss is not one size fits all. And that's what's so exciting about the new personal plans from Nutrisystem. You get a plan built for your body type.
Lose up to 18 pounds and 10 inches in your first 2 months. Money back guaranteed. Get 50% off a month of meals and shakes delivered to your door.
Call or go online to get your personal plan. Designed for you.
Get 50% off a month of meals and shakes. Go online or call 877-453-SIZE.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's a completely unique comfort technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body.
Cool.
Take advantage of this summer sale and visit purple.com/TV today.
Take control over your back-to-school schedule by choosing the right sitter for your family at care.com.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for making the time to talk.
I'm just right around the corner from you.
Oh, I love animals. I think string cheese and fruits.
Sí, con mi abuela. Oh, hide and seek, it's a classic.
I just like to get the kids up and outside.
At care.com, you can find the perfect sitter for your schedule and budget right near you. Get the back-to-school help you need. Care.com.
You're clearly someone who takes care of yourself. So when it comes to screening for colon cancer, don't wait. Because when caught early, it's more treatable. I'm Cologuard. I'm non-invasive and detect altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers, even in early stages.
Tell me more.
It's for people 45 plus at average risk for colon cancer, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your prescriber if Cologuard is right for you.
I'm on it.
That's a step in the right direction.
My bladder leak pad? I thought it had to be thick to protect. But new Always Discreet is made differently, with ultra-thin layers that turn liquid to gel and lock it inside. For protection I barely feel. New Always Discreet.
All eyes on the DNC. As America's future hangs in the balance, the party nominates their pick for president. Fox News analyzes every moment with our expert panel. Tonight, Brett and Martha anchor special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Democracy 2020.
It's in your hands.
All right, the story of a school district in Arizona all set to have the kids go back to class. What they didn't count on in the district is that so many teachers would call them to cancel. A massive sick out that prompted Gregory Wyman, the Arizona Day Outcome School District Superintendent, to say, all right, no classes. Gregory was kind enough to join us right now via Skype. Superintendent, thank you for taking the time. Man, oh man, what did you do? I mean, what number did you get, Superintendent, that you said, all right, this is not going to work?
Well, Neil, thank you for having me. The issue at hand more than anything else is the instructional model that we were using for kids this year, which came out of a survey of our parents and our staff based on what the spring looked like, had teachers teaching, quote unquote, a normal classroom in the sense that they may have 30 kids. Some of those may have been in person and some of those would have been virtually. But that meant we had to have enough teachers so that we could put kids into a classroom and we could safely monitor them. And so what we ended up having is not enough teachers showing up we did not have enough substitutes or district office personnel to get in all the classrooms so that we could safely put kids or monitor kids in the classrooms. And that's the situation where we finally decided that for the safety of our students, we unfortunately could not have school.
So what do you do now?
Well, we're trying to look for solutions. I think the real issue that's hand, to be totally honest, is a lack of a comprehensive and coherent plan at the state and federal level for how do we reopen schools. I don't think this is going to be a situation that's unique to Arizona or unique to our district. I think you have a situation that's very polarizing, 50-50 split on what people think should happen. And so it gets a little bit more difficult. We're going to continue to work with all the constituents involved to try to come up with a solution. It's not a simple solution. We just continue to look and see what our numbers are and how we can work a way to get our kids back in. That's our obvious goal, virtually or in person, is to get kids in. But without a coherent plan, in essence, what's happened is you put a lot of pressure on superintendents and school boards to make decisions that are very, very difficult given the nature of the community. We could talk about safety from the standpoint of the teachers. We can talk about safety in terms of mental health from the standpoint of students. You got community members that want kids in. You got community members that don't want kids in. And it's creating a very polarized and difficult situation for schools around the country.
And makes your job very, very difficult. You never dreamed of this, Superintendent. When you became superintendent, you'd have to deal with stuff like that. Gregory Wyman, the Arizona jail comes school superintendent. Just a microcosm of what's happening across the country as people debate, should we go back? We shall see. Here comes the fight.
Perino, along with Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, Juan Williams, and Katie Pavlich. It's 5 o'clock in New York City and a rainy Washington, D.C. This is The Five. A huge week for Democrats and Joe Biden as they kick off their national convention tonight. And President Trump set to give a speech going after Biden in the key battleground state of Wisconsin. We'll bring that to you. As for the Democrats, gone are the crowds, confetti, and balloons, with most events taking place in the virtual world. Michelle Obama delivering tonight's keynote address, and Senator Bernie Sanders is set for a speech that aims to unify his progressive base with Joe Biden's campaign. President Trump already turning in his review.
Michelle Obama, her speech is taped. Why don't they tell me that? I'll tape my speech. Next week I'll tape it. It's a lot easier. I'll make sure it's perfecto. Every word will be perfect. If I don't do it, I'll give it 5 or 6 goes. I'll say, pick the best one. What is this? They're taping their speeches. I just learned that her speech is taped and that most of them are taped. Do you want to go to a snooze? You know, when you hear a speech is taped, it's like there's nothing very exciting about it, right?
And ahead of the convention, a new poll shows the race is tightening, with President Trump narrowing what once was a big gap with Biden. But a Real Clear Politics polling average shows Biden holding steady in his advantage over President Trump for now. All right, so this is usually the beginning of the official on switch for the campaigns. Greg Gutfeld, what do you expect as you see President Trump doing counter-programming, right? He's going to go out, go to the battleground states, and figure out a way to have a different storyline that the Democrats want.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing the show from like a water theme park.
I didn't know if you could hear it.
Yeah, oh, you can hear it. You can hear it. It is.
It's raining so
It's
hard.
pouring. It's pouring.
The good news is there's blue sky coming this way, so I think we're going to be in better shape. So I'll just turn it over to you to make whatever sort of comment you'd like.
Well, in terms of, it's a weird kind of thing about the counter-programming, because Trump counter-programs even when he's not there. Like, he puts the Democrats in a weird spot, because if you're for law and order or a common sense response to crime and violence, which Trump is, and it just pretty much everybody is, then as a Democrat, you can't voice that same desire, because then if you say, hey, reform's great, but chaos is wrong, then you're evil by association, right? You sound like you're for Trump. If you just voice some kind of common sense, you agree with the evil orange monster. So instead, you decide to just spend 3 hours probably like on the identity politic factions of the voters, and you have to strike a balance between the scathing criticism of American values because, we're racist, we're sexist, imperialist, bent on oppression, but then at the same time asking for your vote. So the apolitical voter has to sit home and go, wow, they really hate America, but they want me to vote for them. I don't know.
Jesse, I was thinking that as President has done these 2 events today, that he has a different demeanor when he's out and about, right? He's not at the White House podium in the briefing room. He feels a little bit more like in his element. He seems to love to campaign. What did you take away from it?
Well, it looks like they found out what the magic touch is going to be. You throw him in there into a hangar, and you have people socially distanced outside, and then he just riffs live. And he does it in a battleground, and then he gets in and gets out while Joe's asleep in the basement. I think you're going to see a lot more of this. But the Democrats usually tell you what their problem is, Dana. But you have to know where to look for it. Luckily, I know where to look for it.
Okay.
When the Democrats say this week is all about unity, that means they're not united. They did this in 2016. Now they're doing it again. The Democratic Party is basically two factions. The people who are crazy and don't care if you know they're crazy, and the people that are crazy but try not to have everybody find out they're crazy. So this week is going to be a combination of these two people just throwing a lot of taped speeches at you. I tried not to be offended by that. Sometimes Waters World is on tape. I might have to start going live. But it does look like Biden has no base, and even Barack Obama is nervous about Joe getting it across the finish line. And I think the CNN poll, which you touted, sending shockwaves throughout the Democratic Party, because now the president's cut 10 points into the Biden lead, and in battlegrounds, it's dead even. And that's still undersampling Republicans by 6 points and not likely voters, still only calling registered voters. So that skews against the enthusiasm gap right there. But I did a deep dive into historical polling this weekend, Dana, and this is what I found out. Guess how many times a Republican presidential nominee has been leading in the race in the third week of August?
Probably
One time in 20 years. Yeah. And it was 20 years ago. It was George W. Bush was ahead in the third week of August against Al Gore.
But
these things don't happen for Republicans. It's always a big come from behind win.
All right, Waters World, we're going to keep going. Juan, I wanted to ask you about this. I was actually surprised to hear. Oh, can we look at each other?
Oh, they don't want me to look at you.
We're together. I don't know. We're looking at the boxes, Juan. Okay, so.
It's the rain. It's the rain. They fear that the rain would come between.
Like our first time together, or like screwing it up. All right. So Bernie Sanders apparently has been telling people that getting along with the Biden people has been much better than in 2016 when the Bernie Sanders people tried to unify with the Clinton people. Is that something you have heard, and do you think that will maybe help them as they try to kick things off tonight?
There's no doubt about it. What a distinct improvement it is in terms of human relationships between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden as opposed to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders actually get along, can have conversations, and the evidence is that they've been working since Biden claimed the nomination to bring both factions of the party together. But tonight is not about placating any split within the party. And crazy as I am because I'm a Democrat, the fact that John Kasich, the Republican former governor of Ohio, former GOP nominee, is speaking is evidence that this is not about placating the left. Tonight is about Michelle Obama. That's what we're going to be talking about in the morning. Michelle Obama, with her 37 million Instagram followers, with her 67% approval rating, obviously bipartisan. You don't get those numbers unless women on both sides. And that's the point. The target audience here are people who listen to Michelle Obama. And
well,
that's
we
American women.
I just was informed we have a preview shot from Michelle Obama. So let's play that and we'll get to Katie.
He is a profoundly decent man, guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country.
Juan, you want a last word on that?
Well, I think that, again, when she talks about the virus, when she talks about race relations, when she talks about the fact that she said recently that, the whole atmosphere these days with the quarantine and the politics is just depressing, she's speaking on a level that resonates. It penetrates with a lot of Americans. When the most memorable line from the 2016 convention was Michelle Obama's. When they go low, we go high.
All right. So, Katie, one of the things he mentions, former Ohio Governor John Kasich, who's a Republican. He has some speaking time tonight. I don't think that packs as big a punch as the Democrats apparently do, because they are giving him more speaking time than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, I think Juan is right in the sense that they're trying to move the party into a more moderate direction while also placating the Bernie Sanders portion of the party, because in the swing states that Joe Biden really needs voters to come out and support him, like Michigan and Wisconsin, Bernie Sanders locked down a significant percentage of the vote in the primary. And last time around, they saw what it's like to lose if they don't go out and support the Democratic nominee. But in terms of the theme tonight for the Democrats, it's all about unity. Tonight will be a lot about race. race. But Democrats have to be very careful about pushing too far on the identity politics and this idea that they're telling Americans that they are a racist country, that they have this inherent racism that they need to address. I think that's something that they did after 8 years of Obama. People got really tired of it. They elected President Trump. You can want racial reform without demagoguing about it and insulting the very people who you're trying to get to vote for you. So they should be cautious on that note.
All right, good comments everywhere. All right, we are waiting. President Trump is going to hold a press conference. Actually, Jesse, this is your read.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're a little bit thinking. I know that we're waiting for the president to give a speech, and then I'm tossing to you to talk about the press conferences.
Thank you, Dana. And while the president holds tons of press conferences and does all kinds of interviews, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris nowhere to be found. They didn't take any questions from the media last week and even skipped out on the Sunday shows before this week's DNC. But Biden did somehow have time for this sit-down with rapper Cardi B.
Oh, snap.
How you doing?
Hi, Biden. How are you?
How are you? The name's Joe.
Well, hello there, Joe. People want to know, can you provide college education, this Medicare plan, without a big chunk of taxes coming out of our checks?
And the way we can pay for all of this is doing practical things. By the way, we're going to have, if I get elected president, free college education.
Wow. Cardi B, Dana. What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking about what I mentioned to Juan about trying to unify the Bernie Sanders wing and the Biden wing and trying to make that happen. So Bernie Sanders had done a couple of interviews or appearances with Cardi B during the primary, and it got a ton of attention. And, Bernie Sanders did fairly well, and that wing enjoys listening to Cardi B. And she asked him not just about free college, but she did press him on Medicare for all. And I would imagine that the Biden-Harris campaign didn't really want to do a big Sunday interview on the morning before they're going to kick off their convention, because you'd rather have a clean slate going into that rather than having some controversy or stray comment that you have to clean up. So I think that they're going to be doing more interviews, and the bar's been raised pretty high for them to do well because they haven't done too many to date.
I don't know, Greg. I mean, I could see the appeal of doing Cardi B if you've also done Wallace and if you've taken a bunch of questions, but to not do anything. I mean, Biden hasn't done a press gaggle for 3 weeks. Yeah, and then does Cardi B?
Jesse, to be fair, he thought Cardi B was a heart medication. All right? And let's face it, this argument can go both ways. Democrats often blow a gasket when Trump meets with, like, Kanye, even though that's actually daring. But, so it goes, everybody gets mad about who sees who, and I don't want to waste my time with it. Well, the thing is, though, I love that. I think at some point, didn't Cardi B used to drug and rob men when she was a dancer? I think maybe that's how she met Hunter. And that's maybe why she knows Joe from the VIP room. But I think that rumor has it that Joe Biden will be doing Fox. He's only going to be doing the Greg Gutfeld show because he heard that I have ribbon candy and sarsaparilla in the green room.
Wow.
Yeah.
You scooped me, Gutfeld.
Yes, I do.
All right, Katie, like I said, I see the upside to Cardi B. She's popular and she reaches a large audience with her music, but it just looks weak if you're dodging everybody and then choose Cardi B to sit down with.
Well, the Democrats understand that culture is upstream from politics. This is something that the Trump campaign also understands. They're trying to get the young people out to vote, as they talked about during the interview. But Cardi B is in the wrong party, okay? She asked the question about whether we can pay for Medicare for all, government-run health care without raising her taxes, which she has some pretty great videos about how the government takes too much of her money.
Right.
And yet she's advocating on behalf of a party that has promised to raise taxes on everybody, not just the rich, to pay for all of these programs. And so she's just in the wrong place. I think she should maybe take a look at the other party and see if maybe she could keep more of her own money, and then individual people can pay for their own health care.
Oh, what do you think, Juan? You think Cardi's going to go vote for President Trump?
No, but if it was just about the taxes and given the videos that Katie is talking about, it might be the case. But obviously, when you have to deal with the coronavirus, when you have to deal with race relations, there's some other things that are higher priorities for many Americans. But, you know, just to talk about media strategy for a second, Jesse, I think that there's no arguing with the success of what Joe Biden has been doing so far. And now he's agreed to a 1-hour interview next Sunday on ABC. So it'll be a 1-hour special. Not only will he get a punch out of that, but then the next morning it'll be on Good Morning America, and that will eat in to all the wind and the energy going into the Republican convention. So as a strategy, it's a little bit like he just tore a page out of Trump's playbook of distractions, because what he's doing is he's undermining the Republican convention as it gets started. And I just think that's a pretty wise strategy. It's a good strategy to this point. At some point, he's going to have to answer questions. But so far, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is the polls.
Okay. We've heard that poll story before, Juan. And let's go now to the president, who's speaking live in Wisconsin.
I'm truly thrilled to be here with you, the hardworking patriots of Wisconsin. Thank you. Thank you. That's a big group of people. This is like a rally. It's not supposed to be a rally. We're not supposed to have a rally. Well, I hereby grant you a pardon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you. In the months ahead, we will need every ounce of your strength and drive and patriotism. We're in a fight for the survival of our nation and civilization itself. We are really in a fight. This is the most important election we've ever had, in my opinion. And I used to say it, and I'd say it with great conviction, 2016. But you know what? That wasn't crazy people we were dealing. They were, you know, on the edge. Crooked Hillary was on the edge. She was on the verge. She became crazy later on when she lost. That's what she became. But these are people that are seriously radical left. Joe Biden is nothing but their puppet. He has no clue what's happening. And they're making speeches that are taped. Who wants to listen to Michelle Obama do a taped speech? No, you got to have her get up there. But we're doing a real speech on Thursday. Next Thursday, she'll be listening. Doing it live from the White House. Live from the White House. So we have plenty to say. So Joe Biden and the Democrats have pledged to impose $4 trillion of new taxes. So this is a group of people that think it's good to raise everybody's taxes. You know, in the old days, a politician would lower taxes, right? The great Scott Walker is here, your governor, right? Thanks, Scott. And Scott would lower taxes, but now the whole thing, I guess it's changed. It's gone inside out. Now everyone says we're going to raise your taxes, but Republicans are lowering your taxes. We gave you the biggest tax decrease in the history of our country, and we're going lower. But they're going to massively increase your regulations in addition to your taxes. They're going to confiscate the guns of law-abiding Americans. They're going to take away your Second Amendment. They're going to make America a sanctuary for criminal aliens. They're going to keep those sanctuary cities. They love sanctuary cities. They're going to protect the criminals, abolish American energy, and make us reliant on foreign nations, and force taxpayers to fund extreme late-term abortion. That's what they're doing. They also want to abolish the suburbs by allowing far-left Washington bureaucrats to force the construction of low-income housing projects in every neighborhood in America. That's what they want to do. That's their goal. And we're going to let you preserve your American dream in the suburbs, okay? We ended the program. We ended the program. The voters of Wisconsin are very, very spectacular people. We are going to take care of you at every level. We are going to fight for you. We are going to fight for every single aspect that you have going. We are never going to forget you. You didn't forget me in the last election, so I want to thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I want to thank you very much. It's great. So we issued a regulation, and you know we ended that regulation because when we talk about suburbs and we talk about other things, we have taken care of about 84% of Obama regulations, executive orders. You know, it's amazing. We knocked out a big portion of what he did, including the wonderful mandate, right? The individual mandate on Obamacare, which totally, by the way, by far the worst of all of Obamacare. We took it out. Essentially, that ended Obamacare. And then you say, so we knocked out 84% of what he did, and then they say he was a wonderful president. Why was he a wonderful president if we knocked out, and a very popular way, knocked out 84%? The voters of Wisconsin face a simple choice. Do you want to be ruled by the radical left mob, or do you want to stand tall as free men and women in the greatest country on earth and keep it that way? Do you want to crush our economy under the crazy socialist policies of sleepy Joe Biden and his boss, Kamala Harris, and his other boss, Nancy Pelosi, she's a beauty, and his ruler, Bernie Sanders, crazy Bernie? Or do you want to quickly rebuild the strongest economy in the history of the world, which we did? We're going to have to do it again. We're going to have to do it again, and we're in the process of doing it. We built the greatest economy on earth, and now we're doing it again. You look at all the numbers. We're going to go over them. Do you want to defund and defame and dismantle the police? I don't think so. Do you want to support the incredible heroes of law enforcement? Yes, right? Do you want your friends and family to be persecuted by the far left wing? It's called cancel culture, right? Cancel culture. Or do you want to defend our history, our heroes, our faith, our values, and our treasured American way of life, which is what we have. Now, don't believe the lies you're going to hear on tape. Mostly it's going to be taped. I wonder, is Joe Biden taping his speech too? Because if he is, I think I'll tape mine. How do you watch it taped? They talk about a convention. How do you watch a taped speech? I would imagine Joe is going to do everything he can to tape it. I saw them asking him questions today. It was a news conference, and he read them off a teleprompter. I don't get it. Something going on up there. We can't afford it. You know, I can tell you this. Look, from doing this now, we built the greatest economy in the world. We rebuilt our military. We gave you the greatest tax cuts in history. Gave you the greatest regulation cuts. We became energy independent. We've done things that nobody thought possible, right? Nobody thought possible. We've done things that nobody ever thought. You had the greatest year in the history of your state last year. Greatest year. And when you look at the numbers, you're going to have an even greater year next year, unless somebody comes in and quadruples your taxes, in which case it's called a depression, folks. It's called a depression. It's not going to happen because we're going to win. We're going to win. Biden is just a Trojan horse for socialism. He is. He's a Trojan horse. He has no clue, but the people around him are tough, and they're smart, but we disagree with them very, very strongly. They're mean, and they're angry, like her. By the way, nobody treated Joe Biden worse than Kamala, right? She was worse than Pocahontas. She was worse than anybody on stage. Nobody treated him worse or with, less respect. She had no respect. All of a sudden, she's now saying, isn't he wonderful? She didn't feel that way a little while ago. Let's talk about her for a second. She left in shame. She started at 14. She left at 2. She went in the wrong direction. If a poll is any indication, that's what we want. Speaking of polls, fake news CNN, they probably have their camera going, thank you very much. No, we have to. Frankly, their pollster is much better than Fox, because Fox has never gotten it right. Fox pollster, I don't know who he is, but he hasn't had a clue for about 7 years. Let me just tell you that CNN gave us an increase of 10 or 11 points in just a short period of time that we went up. And now they call it margin of error. Don't believe it. We're way beyond the margin of error. Don't believe it. I just got back from Texas and Florida and Ohio. We were all over the place. We went to great states, and every roadway and highway, we had thousands, tens of thousands. I would say at least on each one, 100,000 people from the plane, because, you know, that's why this isn't a rally. This is, again, friendly protest. We're not allowed to do rallies, right? Because of rules and regulations, which we want to adhere to. But from the plane to an oil well, from the plane to getting law enforcement, all of the sheriffs in Florida gave us their full endorsement. All right? And in Ohio, we went to a plant, Whirlpool. They were out of business. They were going out of business, and now they're a thriving company because they were dumping washing machines and dryers into our country, and I stopped it. And I said, you want to do that? We're putting a massive tariff. And all of a sudden, Whirlpool and thousands of people, they work in Ohio and other places, it became a really terrific company again. And we went there. But if you look at the kind of enthusiasm we have never had the enthusiasm that we have right now, and that includes 2016. And I hate to say it, and I don't want to be rude because I would never be rude, but let me just tell you, Joe Biden has no enthusiasm. No enthusiasm. And you don't win without enthusiasm. Like, people aren't saying we got to get him in. The only reason they want him in is they want to stop our great agenda. That's the only reason. That's the only thing he is going. And nobody wins when you're not on the side of enthusiasm. So we have more than we ever had in 2016. And in 2016, nobody has ever seen a campaign with that kind of enthusiasm. And we have much more now. But the socialists will not stop until they've ransacked America and laid waste to our cities. Your eyes don't lie. Look at Portland. It's been turned into a war zone, and we want to go in and solve it. We saved the courthouse. You believe it? We had to send in Homeland Security. They were great. They easily saved it after it was pounded. Portland was supposed to be watching it, but they weren't. So we sent them in. And we will send in the National Guard, just like we did in Minnesota. You saw what happened there. Minneapolis. The National Guard went in. Within 15 minutes, the whole thing was over. They should have called them in a week earlier. My beautiful, beautiful Fifth Avenue in New York has been looted and pillaged. It was allowed to happen by an incompetent mayor that doesn't have a clue. Look at what's happened to our diamond. New York was a diamond for the country. Look how far it's gone down. In Chicago, the mayor literally raised up the drawbridges to prevent hordes of rioters from ransacking the city. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 17 officers were injured in Chicago. They had a week, a little while ago, during a weekend spree where 78 people were shot and 18 died. That's worse than Afghanistan, which we're getting out of. That's worse than Iraq, which we're almost out of. That's worse than Syria, which we're out of, except we kept the oil, but that's okay. We don't have to talk about that. But this is the future that Joe Biden plans to bring to every city, town, and suburb in our nation. And you know, for those suburbs, I keep hearing about suburban women. I made the... Well, you know, in one speech recently, I called you suburban housewives. And they all loved it. But when I got, they said, sir, I don't know if that's politically correct. I said, don't worry about it. They'll get over it, right? But we saved the suburbs. And you know what I'm talking about. And they said about the rule, it's a rule, very strong. It's like a law. They said, sir, we can amend it. I said, no, I don't want it amended. No, we can really amend it, bring it down. No, I don't want it. I want it terminated, and we terminated it. It's gone. And it'll be reinstituted if Joe Biden comes in, not by him, because he has no idea what the law says or what it means, but by the people that will be running our country. It will not be him. It will not be him running our country. They will turn every city into a Portland, and they wouldn't mind. No one will be safe in a Biden-run America. But while I'm president, the United States will use every tool, and we've done it. By the way, our country is doing great. We have the pandemic allowed to happen by China. Should have never been allowed to happen. They released it. They didn't release it in China, but it came to the United States and Europe, 188 all over the world, 188 countries all over the world. We're not going to forget it. We're not going to forget it. But we're doing great coming back. We're coming back, and our numbers are better than almost all countries. I will tell you that. Despite what you hear, look at all of them up there. Scott, look at all of that fake news. It's unbelievable. Unfortunately, Fox has become fake news too. To these people, right? Do you agree? At least the other side, you know where they're coming from. But I'll use every tool at my disposal to arrest those violators of federal law and put them behind bars, and that's what we're doing. You know, when they were ripping down the statues, our great statues, they were ripping them down. I passed and signed something that's beautiful. It says 10 years in prison if you knock down a statue. Amazing. What happened? What happened, Scott? I don't see it anymore. Now they go up and they look at a statue and they say, I don't know. 10 years is a long time. They say, let's get out of here. But did you notice that? 3 months ago, I signed it. They were going to have thousands of people march on Washington to rip down statues. And these people are sick. They're anarchists. They were going to knock down Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. He was fair game, Abraham Lincoln. So I said, these people are sick. They are troubled individuals. They're anarchists and agitators. They're not just protesters. They call them peaceful protesters. You're peaceful protesters on the record. You're peaceful protesters. And by the way, you're a lot, look at this guy over here. Look at the size of that guy. You're a lot tougher than they are, just so you understand that. Right? Look at the size of that guy. But Biden and Harris are pro-crime and anti-cop. There's no other way to say it. And we're anti-crime. We are pro-cop all the way. I've gotten the endorsement. I got the endorsement. Pat Lynch, New York City Police, they gave us an endorsement. First time, I think, he said, I think it's the first time they've ever done it. That means it's been a long time. They don't do that kind of thing. They endorse me. All the sheriffs in Florida endorse me. What you have, all of the law enforcement in Texas endorse me. We're getting endorsement from, we haven't found anybody that won't endorse in law enforcement. We haven't found anybody. And if we do, I think they'd probably be in big trouble. I really do. I think they'd be in big trouble because nobody could figure it out. We are getting the endorsement of law. And these are great people. These are great Americans. These are people that want our people to be safe. So we're thrilled today to be joined by county sheriffs from across the state. And I'm deeply honored to receive the endorsement of more than 36 Wisconsin sheriffs. Where are you? Good. Wow. Thank you, fellas. They're good-looking people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I like that mask. MAGA. MAGA. I wonder if he supports Trump. He's got MAGA this big. I wonder if he's a Trump supporter. Hey, thank you, sheriffs. We appreciate it. Good-looking guys. Good-looking guys. And I'll never let you down, sheriffs. I'll never let you down. You know that. You know, we gave you all of the surplus equipment. We had millions and millions of dollars of surplus equipment, and Obama and Biden didn't want to give it. They didn't want to give it. They thought it looked too militaristic, meaning it was a lot of it was really defensive equipment so that we can keep our law enforcement safe. and I distributed it, all of hundreds of millions of dollars. It was sitting there drawing dust in warehouses that we were probably paying a fortune for all over the country. And you got it, we all got it, everybody got it, and everybody's happy. As president and as your president, I will always stand with law enforcement, and that's something that I can't even imagine anybody saying anything differently. But this other side does. They say it differently. I mean, nobody can even understand it. This November, the voters of Wisconsin will not surrender their beloved state to the left-wing mob, and that's what would happen. In 78 days, we're going to stop the radical left. We're going to win the state of Wisconsin, and we are going to win 4 more years. And then after that, we'll go for another 4 years because, you know what, they spied on my campaign. We should get a redo of 4 years. We caught him spying on can you believe it? Did you see the FBI agent? He agreed, he's pleading that he forged documents. Oh, that's good. No, wait till you see, it's gonna be incredible. But they spied on my campaign. They spied on our campaign. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. You can call it whatever you want. I use the word treason. They got caught. They got caught. The same people doing speeches on tape tonight, they got caught. So it's too bad. So we have some great friends with us tonight. I want to thank Representative Glenn Grothman. Glenn, thank you very much. And Jim Sensenbrenner is around here someplace. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Jim. These guys are warriors. Also, a woman who did so great. She was so great in Michigan. She headed up Michigan, and a Republican hadn't won Michigan in many, many years. And we got a lot of car companies building right now in Michigan, don't we? Ronna McDaniel. We won Michigan. I said, get me the woman that kept calling me in Michigan. You have to come one more time, sir. I said, this is it. Then I'd leave and she'd call the next day, one more time. But, you know, she did a great job. Thank you very much. Ron is fantastic. Head of the RNC. And the head of the Wisconsin Republican Party Chairman, Andrew Hitt. Andrew? Great. How are we doing, Andrew? Looking good? Beautiful kids, Andrew. Good. I'm going to blame you, Andrew, if they don't do it. Okay, I'll fire you so fast, Andrew. Andrew's done a great job, thank you. I think we are looking great here. You know, we won it last time, and you remember what a big shockwave, because the Republican hadn't won it for a long time. And they were waiting for Pennsylvania, and we won Pennsylvania. If we had lost every vote, we would have won, but they didn't want to call it. It got later and later and later. Then Wisconsin came in, and then Michigan came in, and then Pennsylvania came in. By that time, we already had North Carolina. You know, it's hard for Republicans. You have to run the whole board because they start off. Now, we're going to play for New York. With all of the crime in New York, I'm going to play for New York.
That was President Trump speaking live in Wisconsin at an airplane hangar, calling it a peaceful protest. Not a traditional campaign rally, really zeroing in on Joe Biden, saying he's bossed around by crazy Bernie and he's ruled by Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris, and really focusing hard on the defund the police movement, socialism, cancel culture, and talking about the big enthusiasm gap between him and Joe Biden. Greg Gutfeld, what did you make of the president? Looks like he's back in fighting shape after a few months off because of the pandemic.
Yeah, I was eating some nuts and yogurt while watching it, and I have something in my tooth. So I can't really talk with my mouth because I think there's something stuck between this tooth here, and it's disgusting. But I will make it. I thought he was back to form, and I always love it when he suggests that he's going to do a third term because it just upsets so many people. And now he's like offering a kind of a justification for the third term, which is that the first term really doesn't count because, you know, it was treasonous. I get a big kick out of that.
Yeah, he had some great lines. Katie, what did you make? He talks about being the savior of the suburbs and doubling down on the suburban housewives line, which got some applause from people in the crowd.
He said, we're never going to forget you and we're going to fight for you. He made it about the people, not about getting endorsements from elitist politicians. And he calls out the double standard of the continuing rules for one set of people in Washington, D.C., and then rules that they want the rest of the country to live by. He talked about the endorsements he's been getting from the law enforcement groups, what I think is also important. And most importantly, I think listening to that crowd, the DNC and the Biden campaign have repeatedly said that they are keeping Joe Biden in Delaware not to flout public health rules. Well, good luck competing on a campaign trail when President Trump has that kind of energy going into November.
Yeah, Dana, that's very difficult to compete with. The president thrives on these crowds. They give him energy. The campaign loves the crowds. They get the data. Looks like that's back to a certain extent.
Yeah, and so there will be a stark contrast, right? But I imagine that the Biden people have done a ton of research and they think that their approach is the right one. That remains to be seen. I also think that in addition to the third term thing, because he mispronounced Kamala Harris's name 3 times, that will also get attention.
Right. It's Kamala, not Kamala. Or you know what it is.
I know what it is.
Juan Williams, what did you make of the president speaking there in the hangar?
It's a rerun. We've seen this act before. We've seen the name calling or the mispronunciation of names intentionally and the appeal to fear, especially the suburbanites. I mean, it's pretty racial way that he goes about things. I find it unbelievable that people will sit there and snicker and, but it's just, to me, lowball. And I don't know. I feel like, you know what? We've seen it. It's done. Let's move on.
Okay. Where was the racial stuff? I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should offer an example if you make that accusation.
Oh, I was very clear. The suburban stuff. The stuff we're going to protect your suburban dream as if.
How's that racial?
That
law and order
aren't already.
So minorities don't want law and order. That seems racial to me.
You get suburbs that are already racially mixed. He's back in the 50s. He thinks it's back with father knows best talking about housewives.
Okay, I get it. Only white people want to be safe. Got it.
That's ridiculous.
All right, I think Greg has a monologue that everybody wants to listen to. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, you want me to do it now?
Sure.
All right. So tonight. All right. Go.
All right. We'll listen on the back half of the break. We'll get to Greg's monologue. Tonight, Democrats will claim they have the solution to the pandemic and chaos in America's streets. But Greg gives them that reality check in that monologue that I've been talking about. Next on The Five.
What if I told you I like you? We stay, we go. What if I...
This program is sponsored by Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow.
Introducing Schwab Intelligent Income, a simple, modern way to pay yourself from your portfolio. Tell us how much you have and how long you need it to last. We'll estimate how much you could spend, then you can decide how you'll spend it. Schwab manages the complexity with automated tax-smart withdrawals that you can start, stop, or adjust at any time with no penalties, and you pay no advisory fee. Schwab Intelligent Income. Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
Joe Biden says,
if you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut.
That means middle-class families, small businesses, and seniors pay higher taxes. It's the biggest tax increase in history.
Citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks.
That means 11 million illegal immigrants competing for American jobs, eligible for free health care, Social Security, and Medicare. America can't afford Joe Biden.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
When it comes to buying a home, they say cash is king. But you're a queen, and that's just as powerful. You're armed with a verified approval from Rocket Mortgage. Sellers know your offer is good, so your bid has the strength to compete with cash offers. Now grab your crown and rule. That castle is yours. So when you need an edge in the bidding war, Rocket can.
Things are starting to look up for small businesses. Your doors are open, customers are calling, orders are picking up. So now, more than ever, your business is going to need reliable internet and phone solutions for less. That's why Spectrum Business is proud to offer new customers the best internet, phone, and TV services for free for 1 month when you switch. Call 888-839-9449 today, and your business will get the best value available. With our faster internet speeds that start at 200 megabits per second for only $49.99 per month. Add our reliable business phone service, and you'll get unlimited local and long-distance calling, plus over 35 calling features to help you stay connected at work or away for just $19.99 per month. At Spectrum Business, we're here for you because you're here for all of us. Get 1 free month of internet, phone, and TV when you switch to Spectrum Business today. Call 888-839-9449.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping, like, we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
At U-Haul, we know moving can be stressful.
Hey guys, can you all help us move?
It's tough to find the right help for the job.
I'm busy that weekend. Sorry, man. I didn't tell you what weekend.
That's why we created MovingHelp.com. MovingHelp.com is an online marketplace for booking reliable, affordable muscle for your move.
Thank you.
Find the right team for the right time at a locked-in price. Safe, convenient, reliable. Moving Help, powered by U-Haul. Your move made easier.
To convince Americans that the Democrats can solve the problems they helped create, tonight's convention will focus on 2 crises. First, the pandemic. They didn't create COVID, but they're milking it and pray it won't end before Election Day. They might convince you that they have a better plan to fight it, which is odd since they never had one to begin with, and they still don't. Shouting, "Wear a mask," to a passing cloud doesn't cut it. And if the Dems think they're better at this, they'll need to explain why blue states have nearly twice as many COVID deaths as red ones, but with fewer cases. They'll also tackle racial injustice. But since the George Floyd case exploded, you'd think they'd steer clear, since it's their own volatile rhetoric that fuels and excuses the current violence. And it's their Democrat-led cities that have descended into chaos as citizens flee. The idea that Dems have solutions for cities is like saying Jack Kevorkian had solutions for your sick relatives, or Governor Cuomo. And so the convention will be a denial of reality assisted by media who will dismiss your concerns mainly because they don't face them. They have cush jobs living in leafy suburbs of D.C. or Connecticut. To them, crime is a statistical blip, and defund the police is just a chant. Tell that to the fired cops. They do this to hide the ugly truths. The rest home deaths of New York, the tent cities in L.A., the mentally ill roaming once safe streets, the berserk violence in Minneapolis, Chicago, and Manhattan. But hey, here's a mostly peaceful protest last night in Portland.
Back up, bro. Sit down. Sit down. Bro, sit the down. Sit the down. Hey, chill. What you talking about?
We can't even show you the rest of that. So what you see as hell, the left sees as dinner. And tonight, they're promising a second course. You know, last night, there was this grisly attack on a guy. According to the police sergeant in Portland, the car crash happened because the driver was being chased by protesters. Then they pulled him out of the car. They beat him unconscious. But I guess that's just an anomaly, right, Juan?
I think the issue I would have with the monologue, Greg, is the president is the incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
He has a record. So the problems are problems in which Americans can look and say, well, has he done a good job of resolving our problems, especially with the coronavirus? And the answer is people are going to say, you know what, this is not so good. So the president, Donald Trump, is not an outsider. It's not as if he can come in with new ideas or new energy. We know Donald Trump. And he hasn't dealt with these problems. So if there was no pandemic, maybe if he had a far left-wing challenger, then it could be more of a binary choice and that's what President Trump wants. He wants you to start criticizing the left. But at this point, he's got to deal with the fact that people have seen what he's done and how he's torn the country apart, divided us, how he's spread hatred and name-calling and all the rest. And it's a referendum on that behavior and that poor record.
Thank God no Democrats do any name-calling or spread division or discontent. What do you say, Jesse?
Well, to Juan's point, I mean, they framed the guy for being a Russian traitor. Then they boycotted his inauguration. And then they investigated him based off of the lie and then impeached him. And then when the president needed a little help during the pandemic, they just sat on the sidelines and did nothing. This is how this cycle works. When the Democrats are out of power, there's problems everywhere. But then when they regain power, they don't actually fix the problems. The media just doesn't cover the problems anymore. When the Republican comes in, anytime they try to fix the problem, it's labeled an attack, an assault, with a little racism and sexism sprinkled in. But if the Democrats had just maybe consolidated support against China, maybe helped the president get the money to the people in a time of need, there could have been more goodwill and American spirit in 2020.
You know, Katie, there were 51 shot in New York over the weekend. I would often wonder if they had been shot in neighborhoods where the media live, this would be a story. But they don't live in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, when it doesn't affect them, they don't do much about it, just like the Seattle mayor was calling this whole thing a summer of love until the rioters and protesters marched right to her house to make a lot of noise. And then all of a sudden she wanted police protection to stop these things from happening when people were being killed inside the block that she just allowed to be set up and run by anarchists. But you're going to hear a lot this week about the system, how Joe Biden can fix what President Trump has done. Donald Trump has been in public office for not even 4 years. Joe Biden has been in public office for 40 years. And you're going to tell me that Donald Trump's the guy who's ruined everything and that Biden can fix it? I don't think so.
Last word to you, Dana.
Well, I think that obviously we're talking about the conventions kicking off tonight with the Democrats, next week the Republicans, and so they're all going for the people's vote on November 3rd. But I think the other thing to look at is people that vote with their feet. And you have people that are leaving these cities and these blue states. They want lower taxes. They want more certainty for their businesses in terms of a regulatory environment. And yes, they do want safety.
It's true. All right, one more thing up next.
It's Velveeta shells and cheese versus the other guys. Clearly, Velveeta melts creamier.
When you've got auto glass damage, Safe Light can come to you. And you'll get a text when we're on our way.
Just leave your keys on the dash, and we'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service. Schedule at safelight.com.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that?
I should.
Call 833-LEAF FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept.
I really love the towels. They're really great. They're super absorbent.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work. And listen to this. Use the promo code on your screen and Mike will include a second full towel set with bath towel, hand towel, and washcloth absolutely free. That's 2 MyPillow towel sets for the price of 1 in your choice of color.
I personally guarantee they're going to be the best towels you'll ever own.
Order now.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis. When considering another treatment, ask about Xeljanz, a pill for adults with moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis when methotrexate has not helped enough. Xeljanz can reduce pain, swelling, and further joint damage, even without methotrexate. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections. Before and during treatment, your doctor should check for infections like TB and do blood tests. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis B or C, have flu-like symptoms, or are prone to infections. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers, including lymphoma, and blood clots have happened. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz for RA may increase risk of death. Tears in the stomach or intestines and serious allergic reactions have happened. Don't let another morning go by without asking your doctor about the pill first prescribed for RA more than 7 years ago. Xeljanz.
To see him in the wild like this.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
Time now for one more thing. Jesse, what do you have?
Well, sadly, I'd like to remember a friend who passed away from ALS. His name is Dr. Michael Honricks. There he was being honored at the UPenn Miami basketball game. He did a lot to support University of Pennsylvania basketball and helped a lot of people get college degrees and raised a lot of money for ALS. Founded a nonprofit, Full Court Press on ALS. There I am with him in better days. So Mike had a great spirit, and we will remember him. Always a fighter. Rest in peace.
He was a lovely man, and I'm sorry for your loss. I know you were very close. Juan Williams, what do you have?
Well, Dana, family life is more important than ever with the coronavirus. And last week, I got some time with my grandchildren at the beach. But before we left, the twins had their 8th birthday party. Here they are with their unicorn cakes. Then it was off to the beach. Here I am with one of the girls in the water, and here are the kids enjoying ice cream on the beach. And here are the girls with their dad, Patrick, and my son's dog, Darcy. Here they are with their mom, Ray Ray. And my grandkids just having fun with each other. So we quarantined together on our vacation week, and guess what? We got along. It was a good time. And that might be the best news of all.
And someone knows how to do some great French braids there.
Oh, yeah, that's their mom.
All right, I want you to meet Asa Fleischer, actually. He's 14-year-old speed cuber, and look what he could do. He took his skills to new depths right there in the swimming pool. In just 16 seconds, he was able to do that entire Rubik's Cube. Wait for it, you'll see it. He's a 9th grader. Normally he can get it done on dry land in about 8 seconds, but the water made him like 8 seconds later. We've been speed cubing for 5 years. Has no signs of slowing down. And also, I say Asa Fleischer because that is Ari Fleischer's son. Asa.
Wow.
All right, and Greg, you're next.
Interesting. All right. Let's do this.
Animals are great. Animals are great. Animals are great.
Every human being knows that it's almost impossible to impress a cat, but seals don't know this. So here's a seal literally spending hours trying to impress a cat. And as you can tell, the cat does not care. And the seal has been doing this for a long time. And It's really stupid because if you want to meet a cat or somebody, just go online. I mean, this is they're not and they're not even social distancing, which is disgusting. He's embarrassing. Get to the gym, Seal. Maybe the cat will care. Anyway, I love your music. So that's it.
Incredible core strength on that Seal.
Yes, true. Very.
Yeah, he's gonna get a workout in. All right, so my husband found this horse on a Wyoming ranch, and sometimes your nose just really starts to itch, and you gotta just go for it. So this is the video that he took of this horse scratching his nose on the fence, getting pretty aggressive with it, and showing all of us that he also needs to go to the dentist. So more power to him for finding that little fence post to make himself feel better. But that's some aggressive nose scratching by that horse. I don't know his name, so we can name him. Greg can name him for us.
Could I just say, add to Jesse, that Michael was a great guy. He used to come and watch The Five, and he used to come and watch my show because I know that he liked my show more than Jesse's.
Yes,
but we could always make fun of him because it took him forever to communicate, and I would always give him so much crap because I'd have to sit there and wait for him to do a sentence, and he would laugh hysterically when you made fun of him. It was great.
Yeah, his last words, he typed out, "I like the GG show better than Waters World."
He's a great guy.
All right, he was indeed. That's it for us. Special coverage of the Democratic National Convention begins right now on Special Report. Hey, Brett.
Hey, Dana. Thank you. Right next door. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. Breaking tonight, the Democratic National Convention is underway right now in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But it's really not there. It's a gathering unlike any other, a virtual convention forced by a global coronavirus pandemic. And it comes as new polling suggests this race may be getting tighter. We have Fox team coverage tonight. David Spunt takes a closer look at one of the most divisive issues right now, mail-in voting and how the post office is being run. John Roberts shows us how President Trump is counter-programming the Democrats with a trip to two key battleground states today, also announcing tonight his acceptance speech will be from the White House right behind us next Thursday. But we begin tonight with correspondent Peter Ducey in Wilmington, Delaware, with the latest. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. Earlier today, fences started going up to form a security perimeter around the Chase Center here in Wilmington, even though most of the big speakers are not coming here, including Michelle Obama, who just became the first person ever to deliver the marquee speech on a night at the convention before it even started.
He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens.
As Democrats try to coronavirus-proof their mostly virtual convention,
the theme for today's events is We the People.
There's not much distance between the candidates in a new CNN poll. Just 4 points separate the leaders, Biden and Harris, from Trump and Pence. The spread is greater in a new Washington Post ABC News poll where Biden leads by 12. But that poll finds most of his supporters, 59%, want to beat Trump more than they want to elect Biden.
And at this point, the president's losing. If nothing changes, he will lose big in November.
Michelle Obama is tonight's headliner of a 2-hour program that also features 4 Republican speakers.
I think that what we have is a big tent party.
One of those Republicans, John Kasich, is set to get more time to speak than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has reportedly been given 60 seconds.
I think Bernie Sanders speaks for 8 minutes, which is one of the longer speeches of the convention, and no one else speaks that long. AOC is doing the introduction of Bernie Sanders, and I think that her time is consistent with that.
The self-described Democratic Socialist Senator Sanders had a hand in crafting more than 100 pages of policy recommendations for Biden, hoping to pull him to the left.
If those task force proposals are implemented, you know what? Joe Biden will become the most progressive president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
President Trump is hoping to steal some of the spotlight, campaigning in swing states this week. As Joe Biden laid low this weekend, no public events.
I'm sure the vice president will be, between now and Election Day, up to his eyeballs in interviews and debates. I'm sure he'll get out there.
One of those interviews just dropped with rapper Cardi B.
Oh, snap.
How you doing?
Hi, Biden. How are you?
How are you? The name's Joe.
Well, hello there, Joe.
The two talked policy and family tree.
You know the nickname she gave her father when she was growing up? She'd call me Joey B. So we may be related or something.
Cardi B once interviewed Bernie Sanders, too, but her sit-down with Biden, a candidate who talks a lot about restoring decency to the White House, comes the same day the New York Times describes her latest song as perhaps the raunchiest #1 single in history. Brett?
Peter Ducey live in Wilmington, Delaware. Peter, thanks. President Trump is traveling to a handful of crucial battleground states this week in order to take some of the attention away from the Democrats. The president is in Wisconsin right now. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts has that story tonight. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. Tradition has long held that the opposing campaign goes dark for the week that the party has its convention. Well, that tradition went out the window back in 2016 and again this year, a real indication of just how high the stakes are for President Trump.
78 days. We're going to win this state. We're going to take back the White House.
They were billed as remarks, not rallies, so as not to invite criticism or comparisons with the mega events of 2016. Today's audience may have been smaller than 4 years ago, but rhetorically, President Trump's appearances were every bit political rallies.
This is going to be the most important election in the history of our country.
In Mankato, Minneapolis, and Oshkosh, President Trump showing he's out and about while Biden is at home, comparing and contrasting his policies to maintain law and order with Democratic calls to defund police.
As president, my goal to restore safety to our streets. By contrast, the Democrats are promising to elevate their left-wing war on cops and to bring it up to the White House in the form of sleepy Joe Biden.
On the economy, the president charging Democrats would tank GDP with $4 trillion in tax increases. President Trump again promising a swift bounce back from the coronavirus crisis, insisting his policies will lead to a full recovery.
That's God testing me. Said, you know, you did it once. And I said, did I do a great job, God? I'm the only one that could do it. He said, that you shouldn't say. Now we're going to have you do it again.
President Trump also denying Democratic charges. He's trying to hobble the post office to prevent massive mail-in voting.
The post office has been a disaster for many, many decades. We want to strengthen the post office, make it good. It lost $78 billion over a relatively short number of years. If you look, Amazon and all these companies that now do, it's a whole new business. They just drop a lot of it right into the post office, and we lose $2 and $3 every time we deliver a package.
The president repeating his favorite meme on Joe Biden, portraying him as an unwitting puppet of the far left, but elevating his attacks on progressives, likening them to fascists.
And replace American freedom with left-wing fascism. Left-wing, we're going left-wing all the way. Fascists, they are fascists. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, but they're getting closer and closer. We have to win this election.
In 2016, President Trump won Wisconsin, lost Minnesota by 1.5 points. Joe Biden leading in both of those states in the latest polls. But the polls are beginning to close somewhat. Tomorrow, the president is off to Arizona, which Democrats are eager to flip, and then Pennsylvania on Thursday. The president determined during the Democratic convention not to let a single news cycle go unanswered, let alone an entire week. Brett?
John Roberts live on the North Lawn. John, thanks. Let's take a closer look tonight at that controversy over the post office. Correspondent David Spahn shows us why this is shaping up to be a huge issue for the 2020 campaign.
The post office is now steeped in politics in the middle of a pandemic, 2.5 months from an election.
It's not the United States postal business, and that's for a reason. It's called the United States Postal Service.
Fox News has confirmed Postal Inspector General Tammy Whitcomb is investigating the USPS, an organization with roots that date back to 1775, and Postmaster General Benjamin Franklin. The post office delivers 472 million pieces of mail each day. President Trump's hand-picked Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, on the job just 2 months, made sweeping changes when he came on board, citing a decrease in overall revenues. The organization lost approximately $78 billion from fiscal years 2007 to 2019. Fox News obtained these USPS talking points sent from headquarters to local. They include cutting transportation, eliminating overtime pay, and encouraging employees to leave mail behind for the day if it disrupts delivery schedules.
We want these policies to be to be immediately reversed. We made that clear both privately and publicly to the new Postmaster General.
But White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows says Americans need not worry.
I'm saying that shorting machines between now and the election will not be taken offline.
Former President Barack Obama and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi recently tied the USPS to Social Security benefits. According to the Social Security Administration, 71.6 million benefits are paid electronically, while 850,000 paper checks are mailed each month. Over the weekend, several dozen protesters stood outside of Louis DeJoy's home, calling on him to resign.
Mr. DeJoy has a public be damned attitude.
The president continues to defend his postal pick.
He's trying to streamline the post office and make it great again.
The president tweeted just a few hours ago, "Save the post office, the postal service." Meanwhile, Postmaster General DeJoy has agreed, Brett, to testify before Congress 1 week from today. That happens to be the first day of the Republican National Convention. Brett.
David, thank you. Joining us now to talk about the convention, the 2020 election, and this, former Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker. She's serving as an advisor to the Biden-Harris campaign. Madam Secretary, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. I want to talk to you about the convention, how it sets up tonight and through the week, and what the main message is first.
Sure. Well, first of all, the convention's going to show that we have a great ticket. It's going to, show what a Joe Biden presidency will be like. One of integrity, character, competence, certainty for our people and for our economy. Tonight's theme, as you've heard, is about we the people. Well, you'll hear from regular Americans. We'll talk about their stories of resilience, stories about how they want a better future, and they think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can deliver that for them.
You know, the message that we get from just the list of speakers alone seems to be that the Democrats want to portray kind of a big tent, that moderates and progressives can support this ticket. Interestingly, today, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted out, "It's great that Kasich, John Kasich, former Ohio governor, has woken up and realized the importance of supporting a Biden-Harris ticket. I hope he gets through to GOP voters. Yet also something tells me a Republican who fights against women's rights doesn't get to say who is or isn't representative of the Democratic Party." Kasich is speaking tonight. Is a pro-life Democrat welcome at this convention?
I think that's one of the wonderful parts about Joe Biden. He welcomes everyone. He welcomes all Americans into his tent. And his goal and that of his vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, is to make sure that we provide an America that not only unifies Americans, but also offers opportunity to all Americans. Through opportunities in investing in our skilling, investing in manufacturing, investing in innovation and R&D, through investing in clean energy. And so, Vice President Biden is painting a very forward-looking picture for America, and I think that that's something that should be appealing to all Americans.
Well, speaking of energy and also the economy, it's obviously a key issue, as is dealing with COVID-19. I spoke to you when you were Commerce Secretary in the Obama administration back in 2015 about the issue of regulations and specifically energy. Take a listen. When you talk to the business community, do you hear about regulations, concern about regulations?
Always you hear some discussion about regulations, and the president's very upfront about it, that there are some regulations that need to be rolled back.
So when you hear people say that the success of fracking and natural gas development is happening despite this administration, what do you say?
I don't think that's true. I think that all of this can occur in concert with one another. We celebrate the growth of oil and gas production in this country.
Has that changed with this ticket? With the choice of Kamala Harris, who is against fracking, is Joe Biden sending a signal that that's where he is?
Joe Biden is sending a signal that he believes that the future of energy in the United States is in clean energy, and that the United States needs to continue to make investments because we're winning in those categories. Joe Biden also understands the cost benefit of regulation and that there's a balance in regulation that of protecting individuals' health and their environment. That doesn't include things like drilling in the Alaska Wildlife Refuge or allowing methane gas emissions. And so I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris provide a very sound approach towards the economy, towards regulation, and towards bringing opportunity and jobs to Americans. I mean,
sure,
we have a terrible...
Pure politics, just sorry to interrupt, but I mean, Pennsylvania is the second largest producer of natural gas. You've got thousands of jobs on the line there. The pick of Kamala Harris, she is against fracking across the board. Republicans would argue that the only reason it's a success is because the Trump administration changed the way the Obama administration dealt with it.
Kamala Harris supports Joe Biden's policies, and his policies prioritize clean energy, but recognize that we've got to move forward with policies that can support the energy needs of America. But they have to emphasize investment in clean energy because, frankly, we need to protect our environment. To protect our environment is to mean that we have air and water to breathe that are available to all Americans.
And quickly, last thing, how much of this convention is about anti-Trump and kind of painting a picture of President Trump, and how much is about painting a picture of what the Biden-Harris administration, if elected, would do?
I think the focus is on what a Biden-Harris administration will do, and they're focused on building back better this country and through investments in our people, through investments in our industry, through investments in manufacturing, clean energy, R&D, and racial equity. So that's the kind of country that I think can bring together Americans. And I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the kind of leaders who can help unify our country.
Former Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker, we appreciate your time.
Brett, thanks so much.
Up next, the battle rages on over students in classrooms and parties on campus. We'll explain. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 32 and Chicago County State's Attorney Kim Foxx and her office abused their discretion in the case of actor Jussie Smollett, but did nothing criminal. Special Prosecutor Dan Webb is sharply criticizing the handling of the Smollett case, saying it was marked by disarray and misleading statements. March of last year, Fox dropped charges accusing the actor of staging a racist, homophobic attack against himself. Smollett is adamant that the attack was real and not a publicity stunt. Fox 7 in Austin, Texas, says the city council there approves cutting $150 million from the police department funds. Officials say $23 million of that will be reinvested for social programs and services. And this is a live look at San Francisco from Fox 2. One of the big stories there tonight, lightning from a rare summer thunderstorm sparked several small blazes in Northern California Sunday, knocking out power to residents in the Bay Area. The storm also stoked a huge forest fire that has forced hundreds of people from their homes north of Los Angeles as the heat continues to just go all across that region. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.
The Democracy 2020 Convention Update is presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Your house brought you together. Like, really together. And although together is great, together with more space is better. With Rocket Mortgage, you get personalized loan options, closing costs, and tax estimates all in real time. So when you need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family, Rocket can.
It's time for the biggest sale of the year on the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed.
Can I help with snoring?
I've never heard snoring.
Exactly.
No problem. And done. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus 0% interest for 36 months. Ends Monday.
Nice. This is the new Buick?
I think you mean the new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa? Check it out. Alexa, turn on the outdoor lights.
Okay.
That's cool, but I'm pretty sure it's a Buick.
Clearly an Alexa. Alexa, get directions to the 818 Grill.
Getting directions. It's a Buick.
First ever Buick Encore GX. Available with Alexa built in.
Nice Buick.
It's an Alexa. Now get GM employee pricing on most 2020 Buick SUVs. Ask Alexa, tell me about Buick SUVs.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Liz and Mike, an Army family who's always at the ready. So when they got a little surprise, they didn't panic. They got a bigger car for their soon-to-be bigger family. After shopping around for insurance, they called USAA, who helped find the right coverage for them and even some savings.
That was the easy part.
USAA insurance is made the way Liz and Mike need it. Easy. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
Your house is your future. Protect it from unexpected expenses. Leaf Filter prevents damage to your home and keeps loved ones safe. At this challenging time, your safety is our priority. You're at home and see things that need work, but gutter cleaning is dangerous. With Leaf Filter, you don't have to climb a ladder to clean your gutters. Our process is safe and outdoors. Protect your home and your future. Visit us online at getleaffilter.com.
We've come a long, long way together. I have to praise you like I should.
This program is brought to you by the unbeatable strength of Advil. What pain?
Real people are realizing there's a better way to mobile.
My carrier probably has a lot of fees I don't even know are there. Basic phone line access, federal universal service charge, I don't even know what that is. Why am I paying these fees?
At Spectrum Mobile, there are no added taxes and fees. What you see is what you pay. $45 a line with our unlimited data plan or $14 a gig with our Buy the Gig plan.
The calculator said that we would save $600 a year. We've actually saved $612 in half a year.
With Spectrum Mobile, I'm saving over $350 a year.
$650 a year. It's true. Most customers who use our calculator find they could save hundreds every year. Don't wait. Find your savings at SpectrumMobile.com or call 844-258-8115 and get it all with free nationwide talk and text and no contracts.
I'm ready to switch.
Get more for less with our unlimited data plan for $45 a line or our Buy the Gig plan for $14 a gig. Plus, get the flexibility to mix and match plans. Visit a Spectrum store. Go to SpectrumMobile.com or call 844-258-8115.
Stocks were mixed today. The Dow lost 86. The S&P 500 gained 9. The Nasdaq jumped 110, finishing at another record high close. The Interior Department has approved an oil and gas leasing program within Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Congress approved the initiative in 2017. The Interior's Bureau of Land Management has concluded drilling can be conducted within the coastal plain area without harming wildlife there. Environmental groups are promising a legal challenge. The Homeland Security Department's Office of General Counsel is calling the Government Accountability Office opinion that its top 2 officials were improperly appointed a brazenly partisan product issued by a supposed nonpartisan agency. Homeland Security says the GAO report was prepared by a junior staff member who previously worked on a Democrat campaign. Homeland Security says the report itself ignores key evidence and precedent. A new diagnostic test for COVID-19 could make a big difference in the effort to deal with the pandemic. Meanwhile, partiers on college campuses do not seem to be taking the social distancing directions seriously. The University of North Carolina is abandoning classroom instruction after a surge in cases, really just after opening up. And among younger students, many school districts are opting against classroom teaching as the fall semesters begin. One school district in Arizona had to postpone opening day after several dozen teachers called out sick. Correspondent Jonathan Seri has the story from Atlanta tonight.
As the U.S. leads the world in confirmed coronavirus cases, the CDC reports a steady increase in infection rates among children. Although young people are at lower risk for complications and death, new infections are causing bumps as schools try to reopen.
I just would like to see fewer numbers of children in the classroom so that the spacing can occur.
A suburban Atlanta school district has closed a third high school until the end of the month after confirming 25 positive cases and sending 500 students into quarantine. In Arizona, the J.O. Combs Unified School District near Phoenix was unable to reopen schools today after a large number of teachers and staff reported absent because they say they felt unsafe. Smartphone video shows a crowd of students off the campus of University of North Georgia celebrating their return to school with few signs of masks or social distancing. Oklahoma State University has placed a sorority house under quarantine after nearly 24 students became infected. And the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill has decided to shift all undergraduate instruction to remote learning after confirming a fourth cluster of infections since in-person classes resumed last week. Nationwide, coronavirus is forcing students to make difficult choices.
You don't want to miss out on the 4 years that everyone promises you are going to be the best in your life, and but at the same time you don't want to endanger anybody.
1, 2, 3.
As Phase 3 clinical trials evaluate a potential coronavirus vaccine for safety and effectiveness, epidemiologists are urging Americans to also get a flu shot to reduce the burden on hospitals. Some predict the continued use of masks and social distancing will also help.
It's very likely that the number of flu infections will decrease because of the practices we currently have.
The FDA has given emergency use authorization to a saliva-based test for coronavirus. Researchers at Yale developed Saliva Direct with funding from the NBA as a way of screening players and staff for asymptomatic infections. Today, President Trump was asked whether he would support FDA approval of a still unproven oleander extract treatment touted by HUD Secretary Ben Carson and MyPillow founder Mike Lindell. The president replied, "We'll look at it. We're looking at a lot of different things." Brett?
Jonathan Serra in Atlanta. Jonathan, thank you. Up next, brutal violence escalates in some of America's big cities. We'll bring you there. First, beyond our borders tonight, workers heckled and jeered President Alexander Lukashenko today as he visited a factory, and strikes grow across Belarus. This was the 9th straight day of mass protests there over the official results of the August 9th presidential election that demonstrators say was rigged. Lukashenko spoke twice over the weekend with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. He says Putin told him Moscow stands ready to provide support in the face of what he described as foreign aggression. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is delaying New Zealand's national elections by 4 weeks as the country deals with a new coronavirus outbreak in its largest city, Auckland. Opposition parties had been requesting a delay after the government put the city into a 2-week lockdown and halted election campaigning. Media reports say North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ordered citizens in his country to hand over pet dogs so that they can be killed and sold for meat. It's the latest extreme measure in the country's food crisis. Authorities have already identified houses with dogs and are apparently rounding them up. Just some of the other stories beyond our borders tonight. We'll be right back.
A lung cancer diagnosis can leave you holding your breath. But Bristol-Myers Squibb is working to change things by researching new kinds of medicines that could help you live longer, including options that are chemo-free, because we're committed to bringing new hope into lung cancer care. Learn about our lung cancer research at lungcancerresearch.com.
Attention everyone on Medicare. New Medicare Advantage plans are now available. Did you know that you may be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits that include free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free meal delivery, free rides to medical appointments, and much more? The Medicare Benefits Hotline is now open. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional Medicare benefits and make sure you're getting all the benefits you deserve. Just call 800-419-3448 now. In addition to dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, you may also qualify for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, and no copays. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you're eligible for additional Medicare benefits that may include free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free meal delivery, free rides to medical appointments, and much more. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. There's no obligation to enroll. Just call 800-419-3448 to see if you qualify. Did you know that you may be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits that include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage? All it takes is one fast and easy phone call to see if you qualify for Medicare plans that include $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, and no copays. The Medicare Benefits Hotline is now open. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional Medicare-approved benefits and make sure you're getting all the benefits you deserve. Just call 800-419-3448 now. Additional benefits may include free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free meal delivery, free rides to medical appointments, and much more. Don't miss out on all of these additional Medicare benefits. There's no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-419-3448. That's 800-419-3448.
Nutritious prepared meals made by chefs and ready in 3 minutes. We don't have to cook anymore.
We don't have to cook anymore? Go to Freshly.com today.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Applebee's. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
At SafeLight, we're here for you with safe, convenient service.
We'll come right to you.
You'll get a text when we're on our way.
Before we arrive, just leave your keys on the dash. We'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service.
And that service you can trust when you need it the most.
Schedule at SafeLight.com.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
A heavy rainstorm has started in our set right across from the White House. Meantime, a former Central Intelligence Agency officer facing an espionage charge tonight. The Justice Department says 67-year-old Alexander Yuk Ching Ma was arrested Friday. He's accused of conspiring with a relative who's also a former CIA officer to communicate classified information to Chinese officials. Tonight in the U.S., big cities across the country are trying to recover from another weekend of deadly violence, at least some of them. Correspondent Aisha Husni shows us this evening from New York. And a warning here, some of the images may be disturbing.
Chaos across the country as gunfire riddles the nation's largest cities and violence erupts at explosive protests. In Portland, graphic video shows a group of protesters beating a man unconscious after chasing down his truck until it crashed. According to the eyewitness who shot this video, the man was originally trying to come to the aid of a woman seen beaten and robbed. In Seattle, 18 people were arrested after police declared a riot on Sunday. Protesters threw explosives and bottles at police, injuring 3 officers. In Chicago, protesters clashed with police, leaving at least 17 officers and 2 demonstrators injured.
The umbrella goes up, protesters put gas masks on, the umbrellas put our officers at a disadvantage.
It comes on the heels of Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley calling for action over the president's handling of Americans' concerns.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Shootings are also surging again in the nation's largest cities as at least 24 move to defund the police. 19 people were shot in Cincinnati Sunday, putting the city on track to have its worst year yet for homicides. Police officers in Philadelphia under fire Saturday when several armed men fired rounds into a large gathering. And 51 people were shot across New York City since Friday. Among the dead, an off-duty corrections officer shot in the head. Mayor Bill de Blasio responding to the president's warning that he's ready to send in federal agents.
The bottom line is the NYPD is obviously, as they have done for decades upon decades, they are the people who can help us address this issue and end this violence.
And children keep getting caught in the crossfire. The father of an 8-year-old Akron, Ohio girl shot and killed at a birthday party over the weekend says communities are tired of holding vigils for children. Brett?
Aisha, thank you. President Trump versus Democrats on the post office, a fired-up president on the road, some mixed results in the latest polling on the presidential race. We'll talk about all of that and the launch of the Democratic convention with the panel when we return.
I'm Bill Hemmer.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Dana Perino, and this is the Fox News Rundown. America is listening to the Fox News Rundown, covering the biggest moments from the race to the White House with our unrivaled Democracy 2020 coverage and the top news stories 7 days a week. Download the Fox News Rundown at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you know how it feels to live with schizophrenia?
I am a good parent.
Jared?
I'm hearing the most awful things. People shouting at me.
It's okay. When you live with schizophrenia like us, it can feel like you're living in a different world. You should definitely talk to your doctor and ask about Fanapt.
Okay.
Fanapt is approved for the treatment of schizophrenia in adults. In clinical trials, Fanapt significantly improves symptoms of schizophrenia compared to placebo.
Cynthia, are you okay?
I feel like everyone's out to get me.
Fanapt may change your heart rhythm, which could elevate risk of sudden death. Your doctor will consider this when deciding among treatments and may prescribe another medication first or may instruct you to take a smaller dosage of Fanapt.
Remember, you're not alone. There is help.
Call 8557-FANAPT.
Now is the time for a new bath from Bathfitter. Every Bathfitter bath is installed quickly, safely, and beautifully with a lifetime warranty. Go from old to new, from worn to wow. The beautiful bath you've always wanted, done right, installed by one expert technician, all in one day. We've been creating moments like these for 35 years, and we're here to help you get started. Book your free virtual or in-home design consultation today.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
Call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
My name is Dr. Roger Bond. I had a practice for about 35 years, and I got to the point where I was getting really tired all the time, and I couldn't walk up stairs without stopping at the top. I just didn't have the energy to keep doing what I was doing. And I talked with Dr. Howard, the formulator of Balance of Nature, and he told me to take a high dose. I began to notice that my energy improved, and my health got to the point where I was able to get back into chiropractic, the thing that I love. I have energy that I haven't had for a long time, and I base all of that on Balance of Nature. I'm an endorser of Balance of Nature because it works, and I share it with my patients in my practice as well.
Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code FOXNEWS.
We've got your back, road warriors. Because we know you want to get back to going your speed. Steering life at 10 and 2. You're prepared for this. And so are we. Soon, you'll get back to skipping the counter without missing a beat. Back to choosing any car in the aisle. Back to being the boss of you. Go national. Go like a pro.
The rest of the world's always looked to us. Why have they looked to us? Not because we're so powerful, but the power of our example. Look what they're seeing now with this president. He's literally promoting hatred, promoting prejudice, promoting racism, because that's how he wins, by dividing us.
We'll save our cities and our suburbs from the future of crime and chaos, corruption, and economic collapse that puppet Joe Biden would unleash on America. This is a puppet. He won't do it intentionally. He just says, well, whatever they want, because he has no clue.
The president saying that Joe Biden is a Trojan horse for the progressive left of the Democratic Party, bouncing around the country. This, as polls are tightening, at least a new one from CNN shows Biden up 4 among registered voters, changing dramatically since June. And actually, Battleground States has that race at 1. If you look at the places the president has gone, 2 stops in Minnesota today, 1 in Wisconsin. Tomorrow he's in Arizona. Thursday, Pennsylvania, essentially near Scranton, the hometown of Joe Biden, as Joe Biden accepts the Democratic nomination. Let's bring in our panel, senior political analyst Britt Hume, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Chris Stirewalt, politics editor here at Fox News. Britt, the president was fired up today. At the end, just a few minutes ago, he said the only way, his words, we're going to lose this election is if it's rigged. He's getting into campaign form on the stump out there.
Well, he is, Brett, and you'll notice that the Biden campaign would like this election to be about Trump. And the president is doing nothing to make this election about anything but Trump. He wades into every controversy. He comments on everything. And, you know, for him to be out during this week, which is, you know, that's an old custom that you stayed quiet during the other candidates' convention had gone by the boards. It might be one thing if he were out with a focused message. You know, one that was aimed at the voters that he needs and the issues that they are focused on. But he is not doing that. He's talking about everything all the time, talking about rigged elections, talking about the post office, talking about everything. And my sense about it is that he needs to change that. He needs to focus more intently on key issues and campaign more effectively, as he did in the closing weeks in 2016. We keep waiting for him to turn toward that. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, we'll see. Leslie, the Trump apparatus seems like it's focusing on kind of this Trojan horse message that Joe Biden is just a vessel for the progressive left. Democrats are saying they'd rather not do this bounce around the country because of COVID concerns. How's this playing?
Well, so far, if you look at the polls, it's playing well for them. One thing I don't think that the Biden-Harris ticket should do is keep ignoring interviews with people like you, Chris Wallace, and others, across the media spectrum.
We agree.
Because, look, there are undecided voters out there who really are concerned about COVID. They're concerned about the protest. They're concerned about some of the fear tactics the president has successfully used with regard to law and order and the riots and things like that. And they do, some of them, have a concern, will Joe Biden bend and kowtow to the socialist, radical left wing of the Democratic Party, which I know as a moderate centrist Democrat is not absolutely zero chance of happening. But he's not a Trojan horse. And I feel, quite frankly, so far what they're doing is showing, according to the polls, more enthusiasm by voters. So I say if it's working, keep going forward. And certainly we'll see in the next few days after the convention this week if, in fact, that enthusiasm continues or grows.
Ari, the Trump people will say that the enthusiasm's on their side. But to the point about where the party is, the Democratic Party, I interviewed in this show former Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker, asking her about the choice of Kamala Harris, who is against fracking across the board and for the Green New Deal. In a place like Pennsylvania, where that's a big deal, that matters.
Yeah, Brett, and virtually every issue where Joe Biden used to be one place, a more moderate place, he has moved pretty far to the left this cycle. In the interview he did with Cardi B, she asked him, she made the case for free college and free Medicare. And Joe Biden's answer was, yes, we need to get to all of that. Free Medicare? I've never heard Joe Biden before come out for free Medicare. Is he going to abolish the payroll tax on Medicare? That was new ground today. And it's a constant move to the left. And he may not be a Trojan horse, but he's definitely a carrier pigeon. He's the carrier pigeon that's got AOC and Pelosi on each wing, 2 left wings. And if he wins, you can absolutely expect, as Bernie Sanders said, for him to be the most progressive president since FDR. Yes, he and the Democrats are moving left.
Chris, here is the president talking about his postmaster general and the Senate minority leader on that issue.
The steps that he's taken are trying to stop the tremendous losses that have taken place for many, many years. He's trying to streamline the post office and make it great again.
I spent almost 2 hours with him, and I can tell you, Mr. DeJoy has a public be damned attitude. He said, I'm doing what I want, in so many words.
Well, the Post Office Inspector General is now looking into this, and Postmaster General is going to come up on Capitol Hill. It's a big issue. For Democrats, the president's pushing back, saying he's trying to trim the sails of an organization that has not worked.
Well, it is true that the post office has been in big trouble for quite a while, and the bill comes due basically next year that they're not going to be sustainable without a big infusion of cash. Both sides, though, are conflating the arguments. You have the president who makes a threat last week. He says, maybe you don't get the money, maybe you can't have mail-in voting, maybe I win the election anyway. And this sets off this wild panic, and people say, what is going on? But Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer are conflating the issue, too, because they want to take the money that's needed for the election, and they want to whisk it in with $25 billion that they need to keep the post office running into next year. So both sides are pretty hanky on this one. But for Trump, it's not a good look for him as the president and in charge, and who appointed the postmaster general, to look like he is doing any kind of funny business with the mails during an election year.
You know, Britt, though, the post office handles 471 million pieces of mail every day. Every day. So 100 million ballots over a month. No matter if he's trimming it or not, shouldn't be a problem, should it?
It's not only should it not be a problem, Brett, it won't be a problem. It's something the post office can handle. The issue is not really the post office. The issue is whether the election authorities in states that have never done this much mail-in voting before are able to get the ballots out, to get the applications in, the ballots out, and get them back in time to be counted under the law. That is a problem. It's a real problem, and it's not the post office's fault. The post office is fully funded, at least through the election and beyond, and this is really about whether the states can handle it. The president has been unfocused in his comments that helped get him into this, but what the Democrats are saying about it is utter nonsense.
All right, next up, a preview of the Democratic Convention. Keep it here.
Ta-da! Did you know Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need?
I should get a quote.
Do it.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
One of my favorite supplements is Cunol Turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Unlike regular turmeric supplements, Cunol's superior absorption helps me get the full benefits of turmeric. Cunol is the turmeric brand I trust.
Find your keys. Find your get up and go. Find pants that aren't sweats. Find your friends. Find your sense of wonder. Find the world is new again. At Chevy, we'd like to take you there. Now, during the Chevy Open Road Sales Event, get up to 15% of MSRP cash back on select 2020 models. That's over $5,700 cash back on this Equinox. It's time to find new roads again.
Be right back.
More fun in summer with WeatherTech. From laser measured floor liners, seat protectors, cargo liner, and more. Order your American made products at WeatherTech.com.
Donald Trump Jr. reacts to the DNC live. As the Dems speak out on day one, the president's son breaks it all down with Sean tonight on Hannity.
Attention, anyone on Medicare. Did you know you may now be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage? Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify. The Medicare Benefits and Questions line is now open to help anyone on Medicare make sure you are getting the benefits you deserve. Just call 800-955-5341 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and and free rides to medical appointments. You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-955-5341. 800-955-5341.
After his car crash, Jamal wanted a lawyer to stand up to the insurance company.
He knew he had one chance to win. Sarah was worried about all the medical bills.
She knew she had one chance to win.
And Jessica wanted to make sure that she and her family were a priority.
They knew they had one chance to win.
So they called William Mattar for the win.
At William Mattar, 100% of our team works on car crash cases. We have the knowledge and experience to win. Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar, 444-4444.
For the win.
Goli, the world's first apple cider vinegar gummies, make being healthy simple.
Goli makes weight loss simple.
All day energy simple.
Jim, want some cake?
No, thank you.
Cutting cravings simple.
And it's simply delicious.
Healthy doesn't have to taste bad. In fact, with Goli, it's actually delicious.
Visit Goli.com/TV to get 10% off plus free shipping.
Good evening, Democrats. Is this a great convention or what?
I got a feeling that we're about to elect a new president of the United States of America.
Let's elect a president who looks out for the middle class, not the privileged class.
Like Joe Biden has never forgotten where he came from.
I thank President Obama and Vice President Biden. Much, much more needs to be done.
My fellow Democrats, America's brightest days are yet to come.
Some of the speakers at the Democratic conventions of old speaking tonight. And there you see kind of the list there, with Michelle Obama being one of the biggest. And the final speech, Bernie Sanders also in prime time tonight. Back with the panel. Leslie, what's the message with these speakers tonight?
Unity. We didn't have that in 2016 as a party. And it's not just a message where they're united, because it's a time where a lot of Democrats and some people out there who aren't Democrats, even Republicans, are not optimistic. So they have to have optimism. They have to have unity. And I think that's what we've seen and heard so far and will continue throughout the week. And that unity also goes specifically when you look at the speakers, Brett, when you look at the diversity, when you look at Black, Latino, Native American, gay, Asian, the list goes on. It's a representation and a reflection of the Democratic Party as it is the nation. And I think especially during this time, that's going to resonate. You know, this could change conventions the way we do conventions going forward. We'll have to see if Democrats can get that energy and get voters engaged enough to mail in their ballots or come out to vote in November.
I mean, that's really the question, Chris, is the energy factor. I referred to it earlier today as sort of the State of the Union response syndrome, in that you're in a room and there's not a feedback from, anybody else. And that's a really tough speech to deliver a lot of times.
Yeah, paging Bobby Jindal. Look, I think the both parties have an equivalent disadvantage. Nobody gets to be in person. Trump was hoping that he could figure out some way to do it. The Republicans can't do it. Looks like he's doing it at the White House. That is some sort of advantage. But I think it's an even playing field here, number one. And number two, since really the 1980s, we've given up any pretense that these are meaningful things in terms of picking nominees. These have been for television. Today I called them a mini series that these parties get to put on every 4 years. So I don't think that part's really changed. And for that reason, I think we're still going to see convention bounces, and I think we're going to see these things come out of it accordingly.
Yeah, Ari, a few people do the transition from one convention to another. John Kasich will be one of them. Spoke in 2012, and he'll speak this time. Take a listen.
Joe Biden told me that he was a good golfer. And I've played golf with Joe Biden. I can tell you that's not true, as well as all the other things that he says.
It's an opportunity to say to people that everything in life doesn't revolve around your political party, that it's okay to take off a partisan hat if you think it's for the good of the country.
What do you think about Kasich speaking? He's already getting a little heat from AOC and others being on that roster.
Yeah. It's a new form of partisanship. This is just anti-Trumpism. I don't really think this is John Kasich for Joe Biden. I've known John Kasich too long. He's too conservative. This is just anti-Trump. And that's why John is going there. Look, I think the thing that matters most is how many people are watching. That's what is unknown. You know, what I do enjoy about conventions is, as Chris is right, they don't really have any serious governing business anymore. But it is a chance for the American people to tune back in. Some 30 million people typically watch the Thursday night speeches of those who become nominees. And that's important for democracy. It is important to engage the country and let viewers see these people for themselves. If very few people watch just because it's going to be that kind of weird, different format this year, that's going to be the worst thing about it. I hope a lot of people watch both conventions because that's good for the country.
Britt, you've covered a lot of these things. What should people look at this week as we get ready to start the first of these two conventions?
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether the Democrats talk about their great vision or whether they talk about the man who's uniting them. And that man is not Joe Biden, and nor is it Kamala Harris. That person is Donald Trump. That is what this campaign is about, and every decision we've seen made about everything about this campaign has been based on the idea that Donald Trump reunites the party. He gives them the enthusiasm that Biden himself may not be able to give, and he will be the reason the Democrats win the election. It'll be interesting to see how they approach that. That's what I'm watching for.
And we'll watch it here. Panel, thank you very much. When we come back, a joke played on a jokester last election cycle.
What stands behind the yard sign of an ADT home? It's your world, safer and more secure against the unknown and unimaginable. With tested, trusted, 24/7 protection and a system we help you customize with video doorbells, indoor and outdoor cameras, locks and lights, carbon monoxide detection, and fire and smoke alarms. Now, get our lowest rate for fast response monitoring starting at just $28.99 a month, about $1 a day for ADT. Call 1-800-ADT-ASAP.
Joe Biden says,
if you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut.
That means middle-class families, small businesses, and seniors pay higher taxes. It's the biggest tax increase in history.
Citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks.
That means 11 million illegal immigrants competing for American jobs, eligible for free health care, Social Security, and Medicare. America can't afford Joe Biden.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
At SafeLight, we're committed to taking care of you and your car. We'll fix it right with no contact service you can trust.
So if you have auto glass damage, stay safe with SafeLight.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
From muscle pain, body aches, to strains, Blue Emu Maximum Arthritis. It works fast and you won't stink. Its unique formula with emu oil penetrates deep to relieve arthritis pain, sore muscles, strains, and more.
As CEO of Wounded Warrior Project, I hear from wounded veterans every day. But I want you to know how your gifts are changing lives. Many of the same veterans who sacrificed so much for us are now facing financial crisis due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have provided grants to more than 11,000 warriors to help them meet critical needs. Please give to those who gave so much for us. Please go to woundedwarriorproject.org today.
Tell that to the rank.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
It's time for the biggest sale of the year on the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed.
Can I help with snoring?
I've never heard snoring.
Exactly.
No problem. And done. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus 0% interest for 36 months. Ends Monday.
While everyone else makes the same fish sandwich, Arby's made a better one with beer-battered cod and buttery brioche. Because this is a competition, and Arby's is keeping score. Arby's, we have the meats.
Age is just a number, and mine's unlisted.
Try Boost High Protein with 20 grams of protein for muscle health versus only 16 grams in Ensure High Protein. And now enjoy Boost High Protein in new Cafe Mocha flavor.
Our paths aren't all the same. We have different perspectives on the best way forward. But on issues that matter, like climate change, we're more alike than we think. We want cleaner solutions, and that means working with each other. So the innovators in America's natural gas and oil companies have teamed up with the country's brightest minds and reduced carbon emission levels to the lowest in a generation. Let's make tomorrow better together.
Tonight, it's quite a White House thunderstorm here. 4 years ago, late-night host Stephen Colbert thought he had discovered the story of the 2016 Republican National Convention. Problem was, we have good sources. You see, my Cracker Jack staff found out that Colbert had placed a hidden camera at a condiment station across from a hot dog vendor in the concourse there. So yours truly decided I would play a little joke on the late-night host and see if he and his team actually bit. So I snuck up on a must sensor like I was doing something sinister and filled up a water bottle. And later that night, I found out the Colbert folks had, in fact, seen it.
An hour and 50 minutes in, our condiment cam caught Fox News anchor Brett Baer, friend of the show, filling a water bottle with mustard. It's absolutely true. Jimmy, play that again. Here he is pumping mustard into his bottle, and he kind of looks around before he leaves. Why is Brett Baer hoarding mustard?
It was true, but it was fake news. Anyway, Martha McCallum and I will be here 10 p.m. Eastern for a recap of the Democratic Convention events. Got you covered all week. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and still unafraid. The story hosted by hopefully a dry Martha McCallum starts right now.
You know, we've been creeping in a couple of inches. I've got 2 rainbows behind me now over the White House, so it's a good night here. I'll see you later, Brett.
All right.
President Trump soaking that up today in Minnesota as he works to rev up his base and launches a campaign blitz to counter the Biden convention, which kicks off tonight as the DNC 2020 gets rolling just a few short hours from now. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, live in Washington, D.C., coming to you from this perch across from the White House, the place that President Trump and his opponent, Joe Biden, each hope to call home for the next 4 years. And this is very much the story of the night. The president out on the trail today and this week making multiple stops and speeches in the Midwest, including battleground Wisconsin, where delegates and the leaders of the Democrat Party were supposed to be gathering this week. Instead, Joe Biden is in Delaware, and the president took advantage of his absence there.
These are people that are seriously radical left. Joe Biden is nothing but their puppet. He has no clue what's happening. Biden is just a Trojan horse for socialism. He is. He's a Trojan horse.
The virtual Democratic National Convention gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern. The latest polls show that this race is tightening, with a CNN poll showing only a 1-point split in the battleground states. And this new poll shows 39% view Joe Biden favorably. A Democratic pollster telling the Wall Street Journal, quote, "This poll is a warning for Democrats and the Biden team that there is still a lot of work to be done." And Biden's running mate not faring much better. Public opinion strategies noting Kamala Harris has the lowest net positive rating of any VP candidate when first put on a Dem ticket since 1992. So can a virtual convention help deliver the critical bump that they need? Joining me now, Sarah Palin, former governor of Alaska and former Republican vice presidential nominee herself. Also tonight, her friend Donna Brazile, former Democratic National Committee chair and a Fox News contributor. Ladies, great to have both of you with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Donna, let me begin with you. Good to see you. Donna, let me begin with you. When you look at those polls and you see that they are tightening, what goes through your mind?
I'm not surprised because we've said all along that the polls will tighten. We know that we have a very divided country, divided not only between partisans, but divided in terms of how we move forward. So I believe that over the course of the next 4 days, and of course, over the next 79 days, you're going to hear a strong message that Democrats hope to deliver, a message that will resonate not just in Democratic households, but in independent swing voters and a few Republicans who you will see tonight on stage. Governor, I'm so surprised to see you this way, but I hope you're well and hope your family's doing good.
Thank you. Yes, you too.
So, Sarah, Governor, good to have you here. As Donna just said, we just looked at some video of Kamala Harris coming in when she was announced as vice president. You know what it's like to be in those shoes. So even though you are a Republican, what's your message to her? What would you tell her out of the gate?
Well, she needs to just be herself so that we can figure out what her record is, so that we know where she intends to lead